Hello, hello. This is Yuri with Moving Sales Professionals and the Let's Talk Moving podcast. And with me today, I have Nick Fehrenbach with Faith Moving based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. How you doing today, Nick?
Good, Yuri. How you doing?
Good, good, good. Great. So as always, everybody always wants to know, how did you get started?
Yeah, definitely was not something that as a young man was looking to do. I just kind of fell into it through the grace of God. Really, I was in college, mainly dabbling in kind of music. Honestly, had my own band and recording studio, and was kind of in business that way. And I would do a little bit of touring, and was enjoying the road that way. And towards the end of when I was graduating, I got a marketing degree, so I kind of wanted to put that into work. And I thought that a service-based industry would be kind of straightforward, and I offer a service, and you know, get paid for that service. So I was looking around on the YouTube University, and I discovered that a moving company is a great option if you're trying to go into something with little to no capital. So what I started doing was I got a business license and some insurance, and started just providing moving labor at first. And I had moved in the past 6 years before that, probably about 7 times. So I kind of got used to moving, and but it was definitely a whole nother beast when you started dealing with customers and stuff. So I was able to get a couple of my friends, and we kind of started loading trucks for people, and it quickly grew and saw a big need for movers here in Albuquerque. And I kind of started calling around, and I noticed that a lot of people weren't really even answering the phone here, so it was like kind of shocking to me. So I saw a big need for customer service based organizations. So it is a Christian organization. So from the very beginning, I really wanted to donate a lot of our time and our trucks, and so we started doing that along with the moving, and we eventually got a truck. And once we got the truck, I got all the correct insurance, and what I thought was the correct, license for moving other people's goods in the state of New Mexico. Well, it turns out that New Mexico is one of the only a handful of states that require something called a PRC number. And so that caused me a whole world of trouble. This is kind of an embarrassing story, but I basically got called one day by the Public Regulation Commission. That's what PRC stands for. And he had called me and said, "Hi, do you provide moving services here in New Mexico?" And I said, "Yes, we do." And he said, "Are you aware of the PRC?" And I said, "No, I'm not." You know, and this was my part being a young entrepreneur, not doing enough research, and and not also not like there's not very much help for small businesses a lot, so you got to really do your due diligence. So he had told me that this is a big deal, and that comes with a $20,000 fine. And he had told me this before asking me the question, "Do you provide these services?" And I said, I was honest with him and said, "Well, yes, I do." And he said, "Well, um, we'll have a meeting, and thank you for being honest, and we'll have a meeting." So a couple days later, I went and met this man, and he basically was telling me that for every move that I was doing could become with a $20,000 fine. And he said, "I do know that you've done 3 moves this month. I actually had done 20."
And now for a quick message from our sponsors. For a limited time only, we have partnered with an SEO and marketing company with discounted rates for their services. Schedule an appointment via Calendly link below to learn more. Thank you. And now getting back to the podcast.
Moves that month, this month, that month. So it was a moment where I just
I hope at that particular moment, no offense, but I hope you weren't that honest.
no, I pled the fifth at that moment there. So he was really appreciative of my honesty and being straight up with him. And so he said, I'm not here. I told him, look, I'm a kid from Albuquerque trying to do this right. Help me get started. And so I didn't face any of those penalties, but he helped me get the number. I had to shut down my operation for a bit, and just go back to loading trucks for several months. This government stuff can take forever. So I got everything right, everything squared away. And it was a blessing at the end. I saw it as something, terrible at the beginning, but it was a blessing because I always, I want to do something, I want to do it correctly. And I don't want to get,
Right. And at the end of the day, you need to separate yourself from your competition too. So if you have what you're supposed to have and all these people don't, frankly, you can use that as a tool to get more business. Like here, for example, at Moving Sales Professionals, when we're comparing, obviously we have our clients and we're booking jobs on behalf of our clients. So whenever we're making those comparisons, we use what tools are available to us. For example, Better Business Bureau ratings, DOT website to show that the company's licensed and insured in case of somebody like you in New Mexico or any other state that has specific regulations. Obviously, having a PRC or anything else along those lines would be a tool that we would use that would say, hey, yes, this is our pricing, but we have this, which is required in your state in order to do moving properly and everything else. The quotes that you just sent me, those 2 or however many companies that you just sent me that quoted you, actually, they're not supposed to be doing this because, as you mentioned, that comes with a $20,000 fine each time you basically get busted. So the thing is that now I understand that you as a consumer looking to move, that may not sound like it's your issue. However, if this bust happens while your stuff is on the truck would be put out of service, and it's going to be a lot of fun trying to get that stuff off the truck.
Right.
And now for a quick message from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com to learn more.
Yeah, and the representative had told me of that exact thing. It's people who were lying to him saying, no, we don't do this. And they would actually set up sting operations for movers, and in the middle of a move, come with police and arrest these people. So it's definitely important, and it was a big lesson. And definitely, just as a young entrepreneur, it's important to make sure all your ducks are in a row. Because Absolutely. If I was out here operating and doing a great job for people, I would want the next person to be doing the same thing.
Of course. Of course, yeah. At the end of the day, there's a lot of bad stigma about moving and moving industry, moving companies in general, and that's absolutely something that I think anybody that's trying to build a brand, that's trying to do good by their customers, is something that we need to support. I feel, that's the reason I finally, after years, got my Better Business Bureau accreditation for that reason, is because it's a way to give back, because we certainly use those ratings and we certainly use that system. And I think that those of us that are trying to do good business, I think we also need to take charge and help weed some of these companies out that frankly are not. Companies Absolutely. That are giving the good movers or the good professionals in the moving industry a bad name, and overall they're hurting everybody. They're hurting good companies, they're hurting themselves, but you don't want the good companies to be in those positions. That's something that we constantly have to deal with, obviously. So that's a big deal for all of us, of course.
Yeah.
So I think that's I think that's very important there too. So so sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
How did you end up so do you find that that's rewarding and you're able to take advantage of that now that you have all the licensing and everything else in order?
Absolutely. we definitely take advantage of on our sales calls, just letting people know that we are licensed and insured. And we've also been bringing in into our sales a really good point is we use Google, the local ad services, the Google Guaranteed. And so we definitely tell them about that, because you have to go through a vetting service through Google. And people, that's a name that everybody knows. So we do tell people a lot of times that we are vetted through Google themselves, and we have that blue check mark that guarantees we're licensed and insured and have all our ducks in a row. So we definitely say, hey, when you're looking around, make sure that other people have this Google guarantee. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as a faith-based organization, how are you different from those moving companies who are, faith-based? Obviously,
Yeah.
how different you are for the companies that are not faith-based, for example, besides the obvious being the faith.
Yeah. So besides the obvious
What
of
makes you
just
different?
spreading the light of God there through our work, if a company is doing it right,
You're
you have the
breaking up there
opportunities to. Oh, sorry. Is everything okay there on the?
right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is the best advice I have here for this. So, yeah. So we are definitely, no different really in customer service. We go than the other reputable companies. But we do have the opportunity to pray with customers sometimes if they need it and they want it. We do a lot of community work, but I know that a lot of non-Christian organizations do that as well. So, there's not really too much of a difference, other than like sometimes people who are looking for Christian-based organizations do reach out to us first, and we have great customers because of that relationship, I guess, and brotherhood.
Okay. So if I may ask now, I know this is going to be a loaded question, but I feel like I have to. So, with you being a faith-based organization, moving company specifically, do you feel that you run into people customers specifically that are moving that try to take advantage of that? And I mean, not in the best of sense. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, you know what? We
And how do you
haven't.
deal with that?
We've been really blessed to where we haven't seen anything too scammy, other than the normal text to our phone saying, "Do you provide moving service and do you accept credit card?" and like weird situations like that. But we have had somebody approach us, part of the LGBT community, and it seemed like they were trying to get us to say things that we didn't want to, and we love everybody, so they said, oh, can you help us? And then in the next email right away, oh wait, Christians scare us, we don't want to do work with you. And so we just responded with, we would love to help you. There's nothing, there's no difference. So I don't know, maybe just but that's the only thing that I've ever really come across.
Because what I mean is that often moving companies across the board. So I'm not trying to single you out. I'm just talking about in general. We often run into situations where customers try to take advantage of whatever it may be, whatever was said or not said, whatever quotes are. And I'm asking in a sense that, with you being faith-based, is there times where you may run into a situation where somebody is saying, well, you're faith-based, can you help me? I don't have money, or whatever the case. I mean, we run into that without being faith-based. So I would imagine that would be a hard thing to process or deal with, especially because at the end of the day, you still got bill, whether you're faith-based or not, you still got to pay your movers, you still got bills to pay. So how would you deal with something like that?
We have had opportunities like that. And it was kind of around a time where I was starting and really looking to make a name for ourselves. And there has been a couple times where we showed up and I went to do estimates, and these people truly did need help. And we did a move for like $100 one time, and all the guys were in, and we said, let's help these people. For some reason, they reached out and needed help, and we asked them how much they could afford, and they said $100. So we got in there and did it, and we've done a lot of free moves for homeless shelters and stuff. So we were kind of looking at it that way.
So it's a way to give back, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great to see that not only do you have the name, you take it seriously in what you do as well.
100%.
That's great to that's great to see, because obviously, once again, the stigma in the industry. So that's awesome.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you, Yuri, I struggle with it a lot, using the name of God in my business. Am I doing enough to be able to use this name? It's something I think about quite a bit, and it spurs me on to do things like that, because I don't know. It's like selling crosses. You know what I mean? Like making money off,
Well, at the end of the day, we all try to make a world a better place.
Right.
So one thing is when you're trying to make a living on your, I mean, it's a fine line, I guess, that you have to walk, especially being a faith-based organization, where you need to support what people are doing, and at the same time, you need to pay your bills, you need to pay your guys, they need to make a living, obviously. But just the fact that you're able to do that type of stuff, I mean, I would imagine, if you're not doing that yet, but I would imagine that your guys, if that's that's how, just judging by what you're saying, that supporting things like soup kitchens and what have you would be something that would be, or providing those services to churches or places of worship in general, that would support what you guys are doing, just basically as a pro bono or charity type of situation that you're supporting. That something would be, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing that I've been talking to people about, doing something different, and why I was talking to people about supporting organizations like Move for Hunger, for example. At the end of the day, if you have an opportunity to make this world a better place, there's too many people out there that don't. And if you're doing even something little that helps it make a better place, and hey, of course, if you have the guys that work for you, that while they do have obviously their own financial well-being in mind, the fact that they're taking an extra step to help you make this world a better place, I think at the end it's something that's worth doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blessed to have the guys I have. Couldn't do it without them, and they're so supportive of our mission. And a lot of them are Christians and some of them aren't, but they still represent us in a way that's great. And I'm always trying to look for opportunities to definitely give. So
that's great, and that's obviously that's different. That's not something you hear all the time, so that's great.
Oh, good.
Now, what would you say are your biggest struggles out there, being once again a new company, slightly different than the norm in the moving industry? You don't see that too much.
Yeah, I would say right now is just really scaling the company. I know that to find labor is always hard, and we've just had to really double down since COVID. There seems to be almost like a sickness going on in the young men in general, just of not wanting to work.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just young men. I think it's just in general, people don't like the work ethic that was out there before. I don't know if it's before COVID and people just got used to getting money for nothing, basically. I don't know if that's the case or what the difference may be, but it's like, it just, you're right. It just seems like the work ethic is not there like it used to be. So I don't know. I mean, in your case, what I would do, just if you're talking about scaling, just if I may give an advice,
please.
What I would do is I would reach out to bigger faith-based organizations that are connected to faith. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Habitat for Humanity, they do some things that are related to faith-based charities as well, don't they?
As far as faith-based, I'm not too sure. But
there's got to be organizations, or whether it's I would almost reach out to maybe a church community in large that's within the state of New Mexico, and see if there's something there, and if that's something that they would support, perhaps, because that should, if they would, I mean, there's no fault in asking, and at the end of the day, if it does work, it's going to open up a whole world for you in that regard, because
Absolutely.
obviously, to have a mover in a community that supports the community within the faith and all that other stuff would be something that would be different.
Absolutely.
So perhaps that would be something that, first of all, something churches would support, in terms, especially with the way you guys currently do things, between piety and everything else. I think that would be good, I would imagine. Plus, who knows, maybe some of the churchgoers, whatever their situations may be, perhaps that would be a way for them to do things. I mean, who knows? A lot of people turn to faith, whether, I mean, there's lots of different situations, whether people went to jail for some reason, or whether people went to, the drugs, or who knows what they had to deal with life that ended up bringing them to faith and God, and in general, things like that. And perhaps your company would be a way for them to change their life, and at the same time supporting what you're doing and being within, working for a religious organization. Obviously, I think that would be something that could potentially be a source for you. I mean, life is full of second chances, potentially, and sometimes some people really could use that second chance that maybe they would not get somewhere else, because whatever their past may have, whatever skeleton is hanging in their closet, so to speak.
Right. No, that's great advice. I always learn something when I talk to you, man. We never really looked at it that way. We just go and approach churches to like help them set up like events and stuff, but might as well, I'm sure there are people in need of work, and who are, like you said, coming out of, situations that aren't great.
You don't know what may be their things, people. There's all sorts of reasons why people spiral out of normalcy, so to speak, and for a lot of them, going to church, coming to God is a way to come back to a better life, to come out of a dark place and find themselves in something that's better, that's helping them with their life.
Huge. Yeah.
So perhaps your company is a solution for people like that. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. I
food for thought.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. Once again, thank you very much for joining Let's Talk Moving podcast for this talk. We'll talk to you all soon. Thank you very much, Nick. And as I always say, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
All right, you too, Yuri. Thank you.
Thank you.